Welcome everybody to Picks and Bones. Welcome back. It's been a minute, and we're time to kind of get back into the swing of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring you guys some of those quarantine sessions that we did with a few of our favorite artists that we have talked to on the show, and going to be bringing you some new stuff, possibly some new formatting. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into my conversation with Gabe Lee. You guys enjoy it.
Oh, did you say quarantine podcast?
Yeah, I'm going to do the quarantine remix.
Yeah. Shit. Most of the bands better come out of this with like three new records. I know I'm going to.
Well, and I think most everybody is at this point because there's so much going on, and everybody is like stir crazy. I know I'm missing live music. It's driving me out of my fucking mind right now because I mean, I'm out seeing live music at least 4 nights a week. So, having to kind of go backwards and not is kind of crazy as far as I'm concerned.
Oh man, yeah. I totally get that. And I'm on the verge of strangling my roommate, so I might end up being in jail after this. We'll see.
Well, you know what? Good thing we'll tell everybody your Venmo so we can afford to get you out of jail.
That's amazing. I wonder if Venmo's ever been used to bail anyone out. I love that. I love that idea.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I've been paid for gigs through using Venmo because it's just easier for people these days.
Oh yeah, I took donations via Venmo during my live stream a couple days ago for my band, my crew, who is supposed to be on the road with me right now. And it was great. It worked out great. I usually don't ask for money like that, but it worked out great.
Well, I think people are really understanding right now because of with everything going on, people are just trying to do the best they can.
Yeah, man, you gotta forward, you gotta pass it on, man. Like, everyone needs help right now.
Now, are you hearing me okay?
Oh yeah, I'm hearing you great.
Okay. I was getting a little clicking and everything, and that's why I was trying to make sure that I was doing a mix minus, so we weren't getting too much feedback or anything.
I mean, I'm getting a little click here for you, but it's not too bad.
Let's see.
So are you streaming any of this from your Facebook?
Yeah, we're gonna be going live at well, what time is it right now? We're gonna go live in 4 minutes. So
but only on Facebook, not Instagram.
Yeah, just Facebook.
Okay,
but
so I think what my team. Okay.
I threw the link out on Instagram so people could join us.
Yeah.
If they wanted to. I haven't messed with the what do you call it? Instagram
IG.
Live, the IG Live or whatever. I haven't. Okay. I'm still getting that weird clicking. There, it went. Or did it? Okay. It may clear up once we get started talking and everything. I know there's a few people that are going to be jumping in that have some questions and everything for you. Basically, what we'll do is once we jump on, I'll do the whole intro the show, intro you, and then we'll just kind of go from there. You kind of go ahead and tell us I'll ask you to tell us about your new album, which is kick-ass, by the way. Love it. It is so, man, it is so damn good.
Yeah, you having fun with it?
Oh yeah, man. See, my son turned me on to you a while back. He's like, "Hey, have you ever heard Gabe Lee?" And I'm like, "No, should I?" He goes, "Oh, fuck yeah, you should." And that's when I went on and listened to your first one. And that's why Eveline is one of my favorite songs of anybody has out right now. And I mean, I know it's an older one for you, but that song is just timeless. It's got it's got every good feel to a song that you could want or need. Hey, look what happened. I did the bypass and it took it out. Are you hearing it as bad now?
I'm still getting a little bit of clicks here and there, so I hope it's not. I mean, do you hear it when I'm talking? No,
No.
right? I don't get any. I get it. I get it when you talk into your mic. I think that's what it is, dude. But
Let's see. Nobody's been messing with my compressor, so
it's just like little blips.
yeah, it's craziness.
But I mean, I don't hear any clicks on my end. I mean, as far as when I'm playing or talking. So
That just sounded like it reduced a little bit.
it sounds like a cable. Anyway.
All right. And it may be a proximity thing. All right, we're at 8:00, so we're let's go live. Let's go surprise some people. All right. Hey everybody, it's Eric from Picks and Bones. How the hell's everybody doing in the sheltering phase of things? Tonight, I'm bringing you Gabe Lee. He is a honky tonk master, if there ever was. He's cranked up there with I consider him a legend in the making, to be honest with you. Got turned on to him quite a while back and have never turned back. I mean, the guy's incredible. Guys, let's welcome Gabe Lee. How you doing tonight, sir?
Thanks, Eric. Doing good. Just staying holed up. I got plenty of beer. I got plenty of beans. I got dog food. So just waiting for the end of the world, pretty much.
Right on. The Walking Dead.
Yeah. How are you, big guy?
Doing great. You're this new album you've got, Honky Tonk Hell, is man, I'm blown away. It's incredible.
I can tell you thank you so much, and we're glad you enjoy. I had a blast cutting this record. If you couldn't tell through the songs themselves, it was a lot of fun to record, especially when you have an amazing band and a fun team in the studio. It really doesn't feel like work, and I hope it never does.
Oh no. What is your favorite cut off of that album?
I think the one that maybe the two that really caught me the most when I was writing them were the Blue Ridge Goodbye, the last song.
That's so good, though.
The message, I think, is really pure in that. And then Susanna, the kind of Leonard Skinner meets CCR storytelling methods and technique. It's not like a trail of breadcrumbs like most storytellers put out. It's just like it's like like emotional one-liners mixed with just like this like this kind of country swagger around the idea of Susanna, who people haven't figured out or are wondering. Susanna was supposed to be a horse. Susanna, Darling of a One-Horse Town was the hook. But, Susanna became, in some verses, a truck, breaking down and, but also, carrying you on. So I had a lot of fun writing both of those. And the entire record is definitely a step forward for us. Farmland, which came out about a year ago, just over a year ago, was definitely an experiment in a lot of ways. And it always is, but in the past year, I've been lucky to, I think, meet people who push me and inspire me to just get better, which is all I want to do, really.
Farmland is so good, though. I mean, and I've told you what my favorite song is off of that album. We'll share that here in a few minutes. What's your background coming into music?
Yeah, I grew up in Nashville here, and my parents moved here in the '80s. Working odd jobs, and I grew up in the church as well. So between that and my mom being having a piano teacher background, I grew up around the keys, and I was, playing classical music all the way up until high school. I was in garage bands and, rock bands with my buddies, doing covers of, Nirvana and Led Zeppelin and shit.
I think everybody's got that story.
Yeah. I mean, I was there. My best friend growing up was a drummer, and so it was just silly. We would set up in the garage with just a keyboard and drums, and just we could play for hours, for days. So between the classical background and then a little bit of jazz here and there. Ultimately, I went to Belmont here at Nashville Music School for piano performance, concert piano, which is it's a pretty solitary life. Yeah. I would say you're spending like 90 hours a week in a practice room by yourself. So it wasn't really for me. So I took music from I kind of got off the train and then walked around a little bit and came back and met it on the other side, and continued to write songs just on the guitar and on the mandolin. After I got out of college, I came right back to Nashville and kept writing songs and being inspired by fellow songwriters and my influences like John Prine, like John Fogerty, and after probably about 3 or 4 years of really woodshedding and just trying to sing better and trying to play better, I met my buddy and my mentor and my manager, Alex Torres. I call him AT, and we cut Farmland. So,
well, and you have such a unique character in your voice when you're singing that there's nobody like you right now because of the way your tone is and the way your pitch is. I love it. I mean, it's infectious. I mean, and honestly, I think anybody that's taken the time to listen to you probably feels the exact same way. We've got a couple of questions already. Parker Ford, who was on the show the other night, he wants to know, how is it working with Marcus King, who is a local boy from here?
Yeah, Greenville, right?
Yeah.
Marcus, I just will start off by saying is a guitar god, and he's one of the best on the planet. There's no doubt about that. And then to boot, he just has this this voice that's got centuries of soul, which is pretty unfair if you ask me. So he's just killer, and he's like 23 years old.
Yeah.
And what happened was he recently moved to Nashville, I believe, and he's got a pretty big team around him. One of his team members invited me to sit in and have a ride with him because she was a fan of Farmland, the songwriting on Farmland. And she said, "Shit, you and Marcus should sit down and just jam and see what happens." So I invited him to the studio, and we just I pitched him the Honky Tonk Hell song because I was away at the time when I got the rights set up, and I don't do many co-writes. That's a big thing in Nashville. People co-write 3 times a day, 4 times a day sometimes with different people. I do it once every couple months. So, but obviously, I mean, Marcus, when you get the text saying, "Do you want to hang out with Marcus King?" You say, yeah. So
yeah, you're not going to go. He's
I
beneath me.
The kid is humble as pie, and just incredibly chill. And we, he listened to the song, and he helped me develop some ideas. I had probably about 60% of the song. I had the structure figured out, but he helped me sort of craft that last verse, which is crucial in the entire. Honky Tonk Hell he came up with that phrase. We had a lot of fun with that. So he's just, the guy's just extremely humble, extremely tasteful, and just has an amazing ear. So he's going to be around, for just killing it as long as he can, I know, because he's meant to do that. He's one of the few people on this earth who is absolutely meant to do that. And he's just killer. So it was a lot of fun, to say the least.
No doubt. And then we have.
He also still owes me, by the way, because I took him out, and motherfucker forgot his wallet. We went to one of my favorite restaurants across from the studio. This guy who's just touring worldwide. Oh man, I forgot my wallet. I was like, Marcus. So, he owes me lunch. If you see him, tell him.
All right, folks, you heard that. There's people that listen to this show that have connections with him, so he has no excuses now.
Yes. Thank you.
We have Etta Mosley. She said they love Gabe's music. That voice and his songs are so meaningful.
Oh yeah, Etta's a sweetheart. We've been keeping in touch ever since she heard Farmland, and she's just been so supportive. So I know she's on that, in that part of the states too, and we love her. So thank you, Etta.
Awesome. And then Kathleen wants to know, how does your classical background translate into what you play today? So in other words, how do you go from classical to honky tonk?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I would say I think what became disenchanted with classical music because it didn't allow me. It allowed me to be expressive. When you're playing classical pieces, obviously it's stuff that people wrote dozens, maybe hundreds of years ago. But the best pianists, the best classical musicians can emote through their instrument. Mm-hmm. And differently than other musicians. One guy can play a piece by Beethoven completely differently than the next lady or guy plays the same piece. So the focus of your emotion is extremely important in classical music, even though it seems, you hear classical music, you're like, all right, it's rigid, it's flowery, it's boring, but there's a lot of emotion behind it. So I think translating emotion into music, and then of course, just music theory, which is
whole different beast.
Yeah, you just have to take the time to learn. And
yeah.
a lot of people learn by ear, and I learn by ear naturally. I don't have perfect pitch or anything. I'm not a freaking alien, but I can pick up songs without having a piece of music. In fact, that's how I prefer to play when I'm playing around town on the keys. I'm a session guy, and I try and play with as many different bands as I can and record for them. When I'm doing that, I almost never have a chart, and I'm just jamming at that point, writing my own parts in my head. So classical music's definitely been a huge building block for the foundation really for musicianship, and it allows you to get better. It allows you to see that you perhaps need to work on these parts. Because I mean, how many hours I spent as a kid trying to play this one, playing this one measure, this one bar in classical music that I just couldn't nail. And I do it over and over and over again. That's the only way to do it. It seems archaic, but yeah, it's part of the discipline, part of the training. I would hate to think that that I've ever reached a ceiling, and classical music, I think has driven that point home, that like you can always be better. So really, the whole mentality of classical music and training, though it seems rigid, I mean it's an amazing foundation for any musician. You don't have to have it, but shit, like it's really helpful to have.
Right on. I come from a classical background, so I can appreciate it. I love it.
Oh, really? What do you play?
I was classically trained singer. Crazy enough as it
Oh,
was.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back in the day, I would sing in Italian and Latin and all that good stuff, and
Whoa.
and German. So I actually remember a very little bit of it. But let's see. We have Billy Saley says Gabe Lee is what music should sound like. Got another question. Got a couple other questions for you. One is, do you write your music or your lyrics first, or does it vary? And that's another question from Parker.
Okay, yeah, great questions. So it varies for sure. It really depends on the mood I think I am that day and how I approach the song, whether I'm on the piano or on the guitar. Really, also maybe what guitar I'm on. Because I have a couple guitars that I songwrite with, and occasionally, I think I enjoy most when it's both at the same time, because a lot of times it'll be like the end of a verse or like the end of a chorus. It's like a really integral part of the song, right? That becomes a hook in a way, and and by hook I mean something that you can keep coming back to as a songwriter in the song. It's either like textual, like it's a written thematic hook, or it's the melody. And then when you're driving around or you're at work or whatever, and that hook and the rhyme and the melody like comes together, it just comes to you. Like you do your best to try and remember it and capture that. So it really varies.
But it's those hooks it's that hook.
Sorry?
It's that hook that keeps going through your head constantly, and that's why that's what makes different songs stand out to different people more. It's because they identify with that hook. And I'm one of those guys. If I get goosebumps listening to you sing, I know it's something good. And not everybody gives you goosebumps.
Yeah, I feel the same way when I'm listening to other songwriters that I love or discovering new bands. Like, and I'm a big reader, so a lot of times it's not only the hook, it's the language, the use of language. And so a lot of times if I'm at the bookstore or the library or whatever, and I'm just poking around trying to find a book to read, which happens a lot actually, I'll just turn to like a random page in the book and read like 3 or 4 sentences. And if the language is engaging enough, I read a lot of it's mostly fiction, Americana, like Southern fiction. And if a lot of times if the language isn't really appealing in that like little block, if it doesn't stand out to me in some way, I'll put it down and then look, pick out another random book.
I'm going to recommend one to you, or a writer to you then. David Joy.
Yeah. Who?
David Joy.
Oh, I don't know that one.
He's a Southern Appalachian writer that is absolutely phenomenal. I'm a huge reader
David
too.
Joy.
Yeah.
Can you text that to me?
Absolutely.
And, do you know Ron Rash?
Yes, personally.
No way.
Yeah, way. We've had cigars and whiskey together.
Okay, well, all right, we all gotta hang out, dude. I love that. I love that the way. See, that's one of the folks that I was just at a local bookstore, a used bookstore. I picked up Something Rich and Strange, a collection of short stories he did, and I just flipped to like I think it was like the last page in the book, and I was like, holy Moses, I need to buy this, and it helps my writing too. It helps me to be inspired because especially short stories. Short stories are like tracks on a record. When you have a novel that's like 300 pages, you have all this time to develop characters and figure out plot and all that crap. But when you have 4 pages to write a story that's got to captivate someone, be interesting, have a twist, and beginning and end, the most short stories kind of leave you at a cliffhanger. That's so special to me. So particularly, Ron Rash and then Bill Frost, another big one for me.
Ron Rash was David's teacher, his professor at Clemson. He was his teacher. So
wow,
they're all interconnected. I've got a lot of guys I can send your way. My wife is over here in the comments going, she's an English professor and works at an independent bookstore. So anybody that says I read, he was at Western Carolina. Okay. The guy that actually turned me on to you is my son Dagan wants to know, where do you get your inspiration for your songs?
Totally. I would say, as far as the way the songs form themselves, a lot of folks will come to me and ask, "Hey, like, is that song about Lyra real, or did this actually happen here and there?" And I will almost always just respond with, "Well, the emotions are real, and then the facts, may be dramatized or romanticized." So where I as a reader, as someone who loves fiction, I have a huge imagination, and then when it comes to crafting songs out of that, I would say emotionally heartbreak for a songwriter is extremely, extremely powerful muse. That heartbreak has probably written, a dozen of your favorite records, that you can even name.
Oh, absolutely.
So heartbreak, and then what comes along, with that. And I'm 29 years old, so I've had enough road to, make some stupid mistakes and do things that I regret and look back on, and and wish that I could change. So I think regret and longing are 2 other big emotions that really help. Helps a weird word there. That really accommodate a songwriter's creativity, because I think you really have to want and need and feel like you have to write something to get it out to be a decent songwriter. Like you like, it's got to be emotions that you can't live with bottled up. They have to come out somehow.
My wife just commented, you have to be tortured. It has to torture you to be able to come out. She also...
Most artists are tortured.
Right.
And a lot of them do it to themselves. I think that I've made my mistakes, but I also come from a pretty stable like family life. I wasn't I haven't suffered the abuse that some of my favorite rock stars, from Nirvana to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like I haven't been necessarily tortured my entire life. I just the moments where I have the moments of regret that I have resound very loudly with me, with my soul, and because of that, I write and I create.
I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I want you to play a song for us. The other was, as a session player, who is your favorite person you've played with
Okay, yeah, that's great. Well, insofar, I have mostly just played with like close friends of mine. I haven't done like extremely high end session work as far as the hierarchy in Nashville. I haven't cut with any of like the top country stars, for instance.
They're going to want to now because you recorded with Marcus.
I'm always playing with my buddies for the most part. Now, I will say that some of my favorite opportunities have been. Do you know Radney Foster?
Yes.
So his son Julian Foster has a really fun jam band. It's called the Good Times Family Band. He's like Radney. He's like the hippie version of Radney. You know.
Okay.
And so he's got a great voice and he writes well. And so I play with those guys on and off. It's very similar to like a Little Feat, Grateful Dead,
Awesome.
Deal. So we get together and we just play shows for benefits or just house parties and here and there, and it's always a good time because it's so pure. There's no pressure. We're all just jamming. I honestly don't have any like big name guys that you would know that I've been on session work with or anything.
No worries. And just I'm gonna shout out to Johnny Crooks. He's a cowboy singer from here. Another incredible guy to check out sometime. He's joined us in the chat. Johnny Crooks.
Johnny Crooks. What's
Yep.
up, man?
Hey, would you do Eveline for me?
Yeah, I got you.
Awesome.
You don't have to tell me twice. All right, here goes Eveline. Wheels of fortune, the way we ride, Arizona, better times, gambler skinny, suit and tie, going under, stay alive. If I'd have known by now what it cost to give everything away and take a loss, well, I'd have wished and I'd have prayed and rolled the dice. Eveline. All the way down Santa Fe, ain't quit raining since you came and pulled me over, stole the keys and killed the engine, kissed my cheek. I've known by now it had to be that life is more than rust and gasoline. Hand me the keys, honey. Hand me the keys. I'll give you a ride. Eveline. Whoa, Eveline. Frankie's Pond. Ain't stopped snowing since you're gone. Store-bought envy, it's you high. It keeps you sober, the homemade wine. If I'd have known by now I was wrong, that you were on my mind all along, I would have never run or ever tried to leave, or made you wanna cry. Eveline, Eveline, Eveline.
Hell yes. God, that's a great song. If if you don't like that, you don't like cake and ice cream. Well, hey, just noticed in the chat, Anthony Lucio said, "New fan of this week. New album was so good, I had to check out the last one." So you got a new fan this week.
Sorry, say that again. I lost you.
You got a new fan this week. Anthony Lucio said, "New fan of this week. New album was so good, I had to go check out the last one." And Astor Cataldo said, "Rock and roll, man."
Rock and roll, baby. I don't know. That wasn't rock and roll, but I
Nah, that was just good stuff. Just good stuff.
Yeah, and people tend to like that one a lot. I think it's the fact that the images, painted and illustrated by the words are all so familiar. They're also distant.
One is the melody. The melody is such. It's such a perfect melody, and just that the hook of Eveline itself, that in the chorus and everything that you build up to that. It's got such a smooth transition into each other that you can't forget that song. It stays with you.
Yeah.
At least that's my not so humble opinion.
It's been so good for us. Both records, but that one especially. Yeah, people really gravitate towards. People feel something from it, which is what we're going for. We want folks to feel what we're feeling, to connect, to be moved.
How does it feel to be getting the recognition for the new album, like with Billboard and people like that? Because that's not everybody gets that attention.
Yeah, well, man, I gotta say, the band absolutely killed it on the record. When we approached the mixing process, it was a little touch and go at first. We weren't sure how we wanted to do it. We sent it out to some people who we thought could would point us in the right direction, and then we ended up just mixing it ourselves. So a lot of this record, for me and my team, and I mean my producers, David Dorn, who was behind the board for the whole thing, and then AT, my manager, we were definitely experimenting because we all heard this, including myself. Hearing my own voice for the first time with this kind of instrumentation. We all heard something that was soulful, but kind of country, and then of course would fit into Americana and folk as well, and a little bit of bluegrass. And we weren't exactly sure how to direct this voice, this soul. So the soul of these songs. And I think we're all really happy with where we landed because if you look at the folks who have who have championed this record and highlighted it and pointed at it. It comes from several different sources. We've got the Billboard, which is definitely more mainstream pop and rock, and then we've got Bluegrass Situation that picked up the second track, Piece of Your Heart, to premiere, and then and then you have Rolling Stone writing a short article about the record. So the cool thing about the record Honky Tonk Hell, when you listen to it, it definitely it's all me, but the instrumentation and the way we nurtured the sound and fostered it in the studio, it can be loved by not only contemporary country or alternative country, but also rock fans, and then fans of throwback rock like CCR, and then also like bluegrass and more niche folk kind of fans too. And I think that's so important because with Farmland, the first record, it was so stripped down. It was guitar and dobro. We come out with this record, we show the range, and I think my aim for the next few projects is to like hone in on what I do best. Now I don't know what that is, but I'm aiming myself that way. So
you got Riley Caitlin says, "Hey Gabe."
Hey Riley.
All right, I know we're kind of limited on our time and everything.
Okay.
So we've got a few more minutes, but I do want you to you'll kind of play us out, and there's already a request for a Piece of Your Heart to get played.
Oh, really? Okay.
And to play us out when we're to that point. Yeah, we get 45 minutes to do our thing here. So in about 5, folks, throw us some more questions and everything. We got about 5 more minutes of answering questions, and then we'll let Gabe sing us out.
Rocket.
No. Well, let me ask you this: you talked about your guitars. What kind of guitars? What guitars are you fans of?
We're working with a lot of. We've got a couple Yamahas that I love. They're one's an older model, and then one's a newer model that Yamaha bestowed on us. They let us use one of these new red labels. The red label Yamahas are like from the 70s, the original ones. And the best made ones were Japanese. A lot of different companies make them now. You got Korea and China and Taiwan, but the Japanese made ones are super solid. So those are. I love Yamahas because you get a lot of bang for your buck.
Oh yeah.
Right now I'm playing with this little. It's a 3/4 size, and it's great for slinging around and taking on the road and just taking to the park or to your friends to jam on. It's pretty quiet. It's a Waterstone, which based on my research doesn't exist anymore. I mean, it's a very small company. Whenever they existed, they were tiny, but it's just left in my car when I was in high school by a drifter friend of mine. And I've had it ever since. But if Daniel Williamson, if you're out there and you're watching this and you want your guitar back, hit me up. So when I songwrite, I tend to like quieter guitars, and that way I can just pick away, but not overpower, the vocals, and really work on melody and lyrics. I'm not much of a guitar picker to begin with. I just know the basics. So that's something I do, and I collect a lot of like old beat up like fixer uppers. That's something that my friends give me a lot of crap for. Is I'll go on Craigslist and like pick up the crappiest old guitar, and just I fall in love with it. I don't know what it is.
You have to. All right, we've got Cody Caudell, who's dear friend of ours of the show, big supporter. She wants to know, what is your favorite song you've ever written?
Favorite song I've ever written? Oh man, I think the song that the two songs I would say that in the past 2 to 3 years that really I felt like I was improving as a writer would be Lyra, Queen of the Starlight Motel, because of the way that story is pieced together, and then Eveline for the colors and the melody, and then the delivery for it. I couldn't really tell you where that all, how that really all came together. I mean, the way I wrote that song, I was super. It was super late one night. I mean, I think what happened was when the night I wrote Eveline, I think my roommate and his girlfriend were, being loud, and they, I woke up at like 2 a.m. and I was just, I was like, man, screw this. So I think I stepped outside for a smoke, and then I came back in. I think I put a movie on or something in the living room, and then just proceeded to try and tell a story. And I try and put myself in situations that feel good to write in. Where I don't feel fenced in, and where I can really emote. So a lot of times that is late at night when everyone's asleep. Having a movie on it or TV on in the background is like white noise. It just kind of blankets it all, makes me feel cozy, and then a little whiskey goes a long way too.
Oh, absolutely. All right, we got to start wrapping things up. But if you can answer a quick question, after putting out two killer records, what's next?
Oh man, my team and I are super excited for what's coming next. I mean, I've got an idea for a great little bluegrass gospel trio.
Interesting.
With a couple friends of mine. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But we've already cut a couple songs on it, and it sounds it's something that if it came on my radio, like I would be very interested to find out more. So we're kind of fusing the musical qualities of like Carter Family meets like I don't want to. I mean, like Little Big Town, kind of like just like really, really powerful 3-part harmonies. But we're not going to be as poppy, as Little Big Town. It's definitely more throwback. But just the vibe of the trio is going to be a lot of fun. So a couple side projects like that, and whatever comes through, the pipeline for the next record, it's already on the way.
Awesome. All right, folks. Gabe, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. I know we've been going back and forth for a while to try to make this happen, and I'm damn glad we finally could. And thanks everybody for being involved and joining in. And ignore the douchebag that tried to make some racist comments on here. He can go straight to hell. He was blocked. Yeah, nice. There's always a douchebag in every bunch, isn't there?
Yeah.
But
awesome. All right, thanks everyone. It's good to see everyone. Be good. What if I were to tell you that I've always loved you, but you might never see me again? That the wide open road is the last place I know a grown man can still play pretend, like he ain't just some guy, like it'll all be alright, like you don't plan on running away. How I wish it were true, but I'd be lying to you if I made you some promise to stay. Take all your distant belongings, ball caps, class rings, worn shoes, flat tires, steel pans, and big dreams. Go talk to the man who buys broken down things and selling a piece of your heart. Well, now she's off to the races, all dolled up in graces, pretty as a June Christmas tree. She's headed to find a one-night reminder why she don't wear no hearts on her sleeve. And all I know is white petal roses look prettiest before wilting away. So shine, baby, shine. Drink up all the wine. Don't let no one tell you you can't.
It's just us now.
Throw out the laundry. It's over.
It's just us. Yeah, we're great.
All right. That worked out good?
No, that worked out perfect, man.
Awesome.
That was so good. Let me